what they did on Friday night. And it's funny because Blaine will be joining us here in just a minute. It's funny when you watch a preseason game because people approach things differently. And Lucas, like some people, no matter what happens, they're excited about it. Anything that happens, they're like, this team's going to the Super Bowl. That 6-string running back just scored. That guy's the best. We're going to the Super Bowl. And other people kind of fall somewhere in between. And most people just kind of take it where it is. But the interesting thing to me about preseason football is when you're watching, in this case, a lot of 2s and 3s, because neither team really stuck a bunch of starters out there. All you can do is beat the guy that's in front of you. It's like people complaining about a team's schedule in the NFL or whatever, or a stretch of games like in Major League Baseball. My Cardinals are beating bad teams right now. Well, they're beating the people who are in front of them, and that's all they can do. Now they're about to get a bunch of games with Milwaukee, I guess, so we'll see how well they really are playing right now. But all you can do is beat the guy who's in front of you. And on Friday night, pretty much every cat that played defense for the Titans went out and beat the guy who was in front of him. And I like that.
That's all you can ask for. But people overreacting one way or another, you point to the undefeated Patriots team that went 16-0. Were they not 0-4 in preseason? The winless Browns team that went 0-16. I believe they were 4-0 in preseason. So any reactions one way or another, all you got to do is point to those two teams from those two seasons. But you couldn't ask for much more. Backups beating backups. That's what you had on Friday.
Just watching this defense push anybody around, watching them get off the field was fantastic. Again, not a lot of starters played. What was the stat? They allowed 139 yards and 6 first downs against the Falcons. 139 yards and 6 first downs. Again, I'll take it for what it is. It's backups going against backups, so you could say, okay, well, the Titans' backups, they went out and they dominated the other team's backups. And what's really interesting is Mike Vrabel had mentioned a couple of guys that he was most interested in seeing before the game, and really both those guys played pretty well. Monty Rice and Rashad Weaver, both of those guys played a ton in the game.
Well, you said how many yards that they allowed on the night?
139 yards.
117 of those were on the ground.
Well, and it seemed like 100 of those were Felipe Franks, 3 or 4 runs. What did he run for, like 70 yards or something?
76 yards. Wow.
Okay,
really,
so him running was 76 of 139 yards. So think about that. To everybody else, I'm not good at math, but what's 139 minus 76? I mean, that doesn't leave a lot to divide up for everybody else to gain in the game.
63.
I was going to say, I think you're furiously mathing in there
that's what
right
I was
now.
doing.
But anyway, it was fun to watch. I take it all with a grain of salt. We want to hear from you today, Titans fans. What did you like about that you saw? What did you not like about what you saw? The Titans have a legitimate deal they got to figure out with backup quarterbacks. So did you like either one of those guys? And Blaine had sent me a message earlier, and he said, let's get into this today. Do Titans fans feel better? Do they feel the same? Or, and I thought this was an interesting way to look at, how do they feel when looking at other teams' backup quarterback situations? Because most of the time you just look at yours, okay, look in your own room. But there are always a couple teams. Well, think about this. A couple years ago, the Titans trotted out Marcus Mariota, who was still viewed as a starter in this league, and Ryan Tannehill. And so all those lists about who your who had the best quarterback room, best backup quarterback, anybody with half a brain was going to pick the Titans that year. And I remember us at that time doing 3HL and just laughing and saying, think about who the backup quarterback is for this team. It's Ryan Tannehill, who started, 88 games or something like that. Just an embarrassment of riches. Well, of course, by week 6, he was in the starting lineup, and he was starting the rest of the way and playing at a Pro Bowl caliber.
And unless you're one of these teams with a first-round quarterback as a backup, because several teams are in that spot right now. Trey Lance a backup. Mac Jones is a backup. Trevor Lawrence probably is not a backup. But unless you're one of those teams and you're not the Bears with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, another first-round quarterback, you're probably in a pretty similar spot. The only outlier I can think of that I saw from preseason week 1, the Steelers, who have like 1 million quarterbacks on their roster, and the Carolina Panthers. P.J. Walker played really, really well in that game, as Sam Darnold did not play a snap against the Colts. P.J. Walker was impressive. An athletic player who's been in this league before, the great quarterback of, I think it was the Houston Roughnecks.
Yeah.
Is that the XFL team?
With the rip-off Oiler uniforms.
PJ Walker impressed a lot of people over the weekend. But other than that, you don't have many best-case scenarios as far as backup quarterback in this league. So people kind of forget that, I think, when you see Logan Woodside battling off every challenger that comes his way. Matt Barkley's been a backup in this league for years. So if Logan Woodside's able to beat out Matt Barkley for this job, I think you got to get to a point where you're feeling pretty confident in your backup quarterback.
If Logan Woodside beats out Matt Barkley, which I feel like there's a great chance that he will, although they both, I mean, we didn't see any of Ryan Tannehill. We saw a lot of both of them. We'll see a whole lot of both of them, I would imagine, in all 3 preseason games. I mean, we were talking about this off air the other day, and I told Blaine, I don't think that guy's going anywhere. Even if they keep Woodside as the COVID quarterback, the number 3 guy, I mean, let's say somebody becomes available and they think this guy's skill set's too good, we have to get him. You could keep Logan Woodside as your number 3, and he knows your system. So, I mean, obviously, he's not going to get any reps in practice because once the season started, it just doesn't work that way. The backup, the third guy, he just is given a look for the scout team. But he would know your system if he ever had to play, or if your first string guy got hurt, you would know that Woodside would then move into the number 2 role behind whoever you had as the number 2. He would move into the number 2 role, and he would step in knowing the system, and he would start getting the backup reps in practice. So just him being around here and learning that system, there is so much value in that. Now, did he play pretty well the other night? He played okay, had a touchdown pass, gave up a couple times he got sacked, guys coming up the middle on third down, but now it was a patchwork offensive line in front of him. It was backups getting beat by the Falcons backups, and Mike Vrabel even brought up after the game that Dean Pease was blitzing the expletive out of Logan Woodside. So he got blitzed, but he got some good looks and he got good work. But what the Titans and all teams face is when they turn the bottom of the roster, guys are going to get cut when we go to 53. And you're going to have to make a decision then. Is Colt McCoy or some of these other guys, Gardner Minshew. He got outplayed by C.J. Beathard. C.J. Beathard played real well and has started games in the league. He's in Jacksonville now. Blaine, I'd lost C.J. Beathard completely. He shows up in Jacksonville. He's like 11 of 13 in a game. That dude could be available when there's 53 men cut. He's played a lot of football.
Hometown guy.
Gardner Minshew could be available. So you're always churning the bottom end of the roster anyway. I'll be real interested to see what the rest of the I almost said spring, but it's fall, what the rest of the fall looks like with this backup quarterback competition. And Blaine is our director of content online. So let's put out a couple of polls here. Now that you've seen Logan Woodside and Matt Barkley, how are you feeling about the backup quarterback situation for the Titans? 10% feel great. 10% feel great. Great. I'm good. Great with those guys. Not just good, great. 38.6% feeling okay. 29.5% still not sure. 22.7% time to add another QB. Do you feel in any way, Blaine, like, yep, got to add another quarterback now? Or are you still – because I would say I feel okay. Let's just keep evaluating him is where I am. I feel okay right now. Based on who else is available out there, I feel fine about these 2 guys. But once a bunch of other guys get cut, which is going to happen, then maybe I reevaluate how I feel. Or if we watch them play another preseason game and then another, and nobody really steps up or nobody does anything that you think, okay, yeah, this guy's 100% the number 2. But as of right now, I feel like I'm okay, but I really need to see more.
Well, first and foremost, sorry that I'm late, but we can never have 2 wrecks on 65 when I leave at 12:15. That just can't happen. Lucas, you got to take care of that, man. That's another duty that we must give you to make sure that never happens. Now, on the backup quarterback situation, I'm content where we're at now, whether that's Woodside, Barkley, whoever becomes the backup, who's ever the third. But I think you're always looking for someone that's better. It's hard at the quarterback position because they must learn your system first, and all the, checks and everything else. It's just much harder mentally from the quarterback position. So you want to kind of have that finished in a preseason. That way they at least, have played in some games. You got to see them, how they run your offense and everything else. So, yeah, I'm cool with it. Am I jumping up and down doing cartwheels? No, I'm not. I'm just excited to see Woodside, go out there and play and do halfway decent with the backup line, which half the time, even though they were blitzing a lot, he was running for his life. Offensively, the team did okay. I would give it a passing grade. Defensively, they attacked, and they did exactly what we've been seeing in practice,
Yep.
what they've been saying about them in practice, and it correlated in the game. I don't care who they were going against. People are always, oh, that wasn't against them when you're not Weaver or whoever else they're talking about who had a really good game. Well, guess what? They're in the NFL, and the backups are guys who are out there trying to prove something because they want to be the starters or they want to make sure that they make the roster because you're always trying to bring somebody else in to beat the backup. So hey, I thought that I thought T.R. Tart did really well. He caused havoc in the backfield. Didn't have a lot of stats. The kid that got hurt, Cooley or Coley,
Trayvon Coley played a
Coley,
good
yeah,
game.
he did fantabulous, and he hurt his foot, so I don't know about that one there. So there's a lot of guys. You talked about the the receiver from Berry College, he did really well. Chester Rodgers, it is just a preseason game, but I know everybody says when the lights turns on, that's when it really counts. Well, it really counts also day to day because they're getting to know you and your habits and what you do as a professional. And can you grow into a professional sooner than later? Or you studying at night all the way till you go to bed? This is focus time. You only have 3 weeks of your life to have an opportunity to play in the National Football League. Yeah. Are you going to give it everything you got? And when I say that, I'm talking about everything, and that's the little things, the little details, what gets you revving up, ready for practice. And when I say that, I mean, are you getting in the hot tub? Are you doing the cold tub after practice? Are you studying your plays? Are you watching film? Are you critiquing yourself harder than anybody else? Not just let your coach critique you. You know your ability. So are you doing all those things to make yourself a better player? And that's all you can control. That's why I always talk about be the best version of you because that's all you can do. Yep. And if that's not good enough, it wasn't meant to be, period. I can't try to be, Troy Polamalu when I don't run a 4.3. It's just not going to happen. But what I can do is be the best I can be. And that's all I can live with. And I can live with that. And if I got cut, you know what? So be it. Yeah. It wasn't meant to be. So you wonder if some of the guys are learning how to be a pro at this point in time. Not seeing Fitzpatrick Dez out there at receiver until the second half. Just because he was a draft pick, I don't want my draft picks to feel like they're comfortable enough to say I'm still going to make the roster. I'd send a huge message out. If he's not getting it done, Rodgers, Marcus Johnson, those guys will be on my team. Yep. Sorry. Hey, mistakes go on all the time. Guess what? Somebody else may pick you up or we can put you back on the practice squad. You must get better each and every day. Everybody else is. Why aren't you? Or have you maxed out? Or are you doing all those little things to get better? All of a sudden in minicamp and OTAs, he was doing okay, and then all of a sudden now training camp started. It's kind of starting to be a gap.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going down the wrong way. Yeah. So that would be concerning. And you got to have some cojones. And I know you invested some money in it, but to say that somebody's automatically going to make the roster just because they're draft pick, I'm not with it. Sorry. If you made a mistake in the fourth round, as we just talked about in 1998, Brad Ware, safety from Auburn, was released. Fourth round. Yeah. He didn't have it. Yeah. He just didn't have it. And he didn't have all those other things either. It wasn't just talent. We all know there's a lot of talented players that's not even in the National Football League. A lot of dudes that were better than me just on talent. But they didn't understand the mental capacity of what it needs to take to play in this game, to study, to work. So, some guys don't get it till it's too late. Some guys get it a little bit later than others. There's a maturation process. You just don't want to be the guy that it takes longer than others, especially when you're competing against other guys who were the same year as you, came out with you, and now they're past you up and didn't come in with the pedigree and didn't go as high in the draft or draft at all. Yeah. That's alarming. Yeah. Sorry. And then the head coach says he needs to get better, and it starts at practice.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That is not good. If your butt don't get lit right now, then guess what? You may not be our guy because every day would be a game day for me. Every day after that preseason and the coach said that. There's no way. He's going to be mad that I went so hard. The DBs are going to be mad at me. There's no way around it. So you get to see if he has the passion and the resilience to be critiqued and criticized in the National Football League. See what he does. See how he responds.
I was out there yesterday. He dropped 3 in a row on air.
And I saw those, and that just it sickened me because I just like you always want to cheer for that guy.
Yep.
To do okay, get better today. Then all right, things don't always go your way in a game, but get better. 3 in a row on air,
Right in front of the general manager too, right?
right? So he's not dealing with the pressure. That's what it tells me. Not knowing the kid at all. 3 in a row
Yeah.
on air.
Yes. Dropped one going one way, dropped one coming back, and it's like, grab another rep. He dropped that one too.
So what it tells me is it's gotten in his head.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Now you're messing with the psyche of the athlete, and you never know what direction that may go. You just don't know. That's scary stuff.
Well, we'll get into all this and more today. We want to hear from you. You can tweet at us at Blaine and Mickey. People sounding in on the chat. Robert talking about the quarterback says he knows the system. It's that simple. I'm sure he's talking about Logan Woodside. Lonzo's already thrown his ding dong out there for ding dong of the week. But when we come back,
He threw it out there?
it's right out there on the
I didn't
chat.
know you could do that.
You can see it. When we come back, we'll see Eric Eager from Pro Football Focus. He's going to join us. We always have questions, and he always has answers. He's got an interesting theory on backup quarterbacks that I can't wait to ask him about. You will want to hear that. It's next on Blaine and Mickey.
Stream Titans opinion on all your devices. It's the 104.5 The Zone app. Your home for Titans football and the flagship for Titans radio. 104.5 The Zone.
Eric Eager from Pro Football Focus, set to jump in the mix with us now. Eric, let's just start with this one. This taunting penalty thing where they're emphasizing taunting penalties. So a guy from the Colts carries the Panthers' entire defense 7 yards, gets up and just kind of flexes his muscles, and he immediately gets a flag. Look, I know they got to emphasize things, but come on, man. That shouldn't be a flag in any universe.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys know probably better than anybody, football's a hard game, right? Like, football's a hard game, and if you can't let it out a little bit, man, what are we all here for? I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't like it. And I don't think anybody asked for it. That's the thing that I think is so sad about this is it's a solution in search of a problem. None of us care that these guys are, flexing their muscles after plays. None of us cared when Chad Johnson, pulled out a jacket or Joe Horn pulled out a cell phone, T.O. pulled out the Sharpie. No one cares. It feels like they should solve the real problems in the league.
I agree. I mean, of all the things, you sit in a room full of people and there's COVID in the world just ravaging people and all the things that are going on. And you're like, you know what? We need to cut down on enthusiasm. That's the thing we need to try to quell this year. Let's emphasize that. What genius stood up and then others voted, yeah, that's a great idea, Fred. That's what we should do.
Yeah, it's like I said, football's a hard game, right? And this idea that you can't, especially for some of these guys. I mean, that's the running back for the Colts. I mean, he's probably not going to make the team, right? This might be one of the last times he gets to have fun on a football field. It's I don't know. Feel like taking that away from people is just kind of cruel.
Yeah, Benny LeMay is the young man's name. God bless you, Benny LeMay. You got to be able to have some fun, man. This is your time to shine. Getting his time to shine, he joins us on Blaine and Mickey at PFF_Eric if you would like to follow him there, and you should.
Well, Eric, I have to ask you this intriguing question, how PFF matches up with some of the players' top 100 thus far. The Titans, let's say, have three guys so far at 62 with A.J. Brown, 78 with Simmons, and 83 with Tannehill as a ranking. Does that match up with what you guys would grade them out based off of their positions? I don't know if you even paid attention to that, but it was definitely intriguing just to see where some of the players, other players in the NFL thought, other players should be ranked.
I think A.J. Brown's probably a little bit of a little higher.
Right.
I think he's a better player than that. I think he's also ascending. I think sometimes these lists do a bad job of baking in the fact that, like A.J. Brown, he hasn't had the best numbers in the world. But when you watch games, you're like, yeah, that's because they don't throw it as much as other teams. But when he makes the plays, he's certainly, one of the best in football. And, just because, the Buffalo Bills throw the ball twice as much doesn't mean that Stephon Diggs is twice the player that A.J. Brown is. You know what I mean? So I think that he's probably a little lower. Jeffrey Simmons is probably properly rated. I mean, last season – he only has, in our metrics, 5 sacks first 2 years. But 44 pressures plus a ton of stops. He's a good football player on a defense that I don't think that many people pay attention to because overall they're not a great defense. So that's probably fine. I think Tannehill may be a little overrated, but I'll say this. He's played amazingly the last 2 years. The question I think you really have to ask yourself is predictively, once you move on from, Arthur Smith, Todd Downing comes in, you have Tyson Braylo and company starting on the right side of the offensive line. You lose your tight end, and you lose Corey Davis. Now I know you get Julio Jones back, but if Tannehill does it again, I think almost every single doubter will probably have to admit that they were wrong about Tannehill. I think that those that are suspending belief right now, I think have a little bit of a point. But that's just a little bit of nitpicky. It's certainly not taking away from what Tannehill has done, which has played fantastic football over the last year and a half.
Well, one player that wasn't, I'm going to just ask you about this one player, and that was James Robinson, the running back from the Jaguars, was number 100. Based off of all the other running backs, where would you rate him as far as a running back in the National Football League based off of his rookie season as an undrafted rookie?
Yeah, he certainly was impressive last year. I think the hard thing is, though, and why I would not have him in the top 100 is when you look at, running backs, and one of my interns found this out the last week or so, is like undrafted or lowly drafted running backs just face lighter boxes than highly rated running backs, so they can put up better numbers, and so people will maybe overreact to them. So, when you're on a team that goes 1-15, like, you're not, like, teams aren't afraid of your run game, right? So then you're able to get more rush than other players. Like Derrick Henry's like dealing with 8-man boxes all the time and doing what he's doing. That's clearly more impressive than what James Robinson is doing. But then the same thing's true about like maybe lower running backs down the totem pole. And, and Jacksonville, I think, instinctively knows this, having drafted Travis Etienne in round 1. Like, I think Robinson's going to be a good complementary piece for them, but I don't know if he's a top 100 player in the NFL. I mean, you're talking about, a little bit of math here. You're talking about 3, maybe 4 players a team. Like, is he even a top 4 player on his own team? And that's one of the worst teams in football. Like, I would bristle a little bit at that idea.
Well, we're on with Eric Eager, PFF, naturally. And I want to ask you, I watched, this game. I know Mickey's going to ask you about some of the younger quarterbacks, but I watched the Colts game, and I really actually I don't know what my expectations were, but I thought the quarterbacks, both quarterbacks, Eason as well as Ellinger, played halfway decent. I mean, what did you guys grade them out as?
Yeah, that was the quarterback play in that game. You look at that. You look at that game, the standalone on a Sunday, and you're like, oh my goodness, no starting quarterback for either team.
Right.
And not only was Phillip Walker really good for the Carolina Panthers, Jacob Eason, we gave him a 94 grade.
See?
I mean, he averaged 8.7 yards a pass attempts. He had 2 what are called big-time plays. He had no turnover-worthy plays. They even had a drop there. So he was terrific, throwing for 183 yards on 21 attempts. And then Sam Ellinger came in, the guy, rookie from Texas. He averaged over 10 yards a pass attempt. He had a really bad interception, which kept his grade down a little bit, like to 72.7. But, yeah, both those QBs, I mean, if you're the Colts and let's say you have to play a month without Carson Wentz, and you get that kind of quarterback play out of those 2 guys, you'd be pretty satisfied.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're on with Eric Eager, PFF.
So, Eric, let's go through this because I teased it. I saw you tweet, in the Titans world here, we're looking at the backup quarterbacks, Logan Woodside, and now they've added Matt Barkley, and Titans fans are trying to figure out if they think this is the best situation or who's going to get cut maybe later on down the line and who could they get a shot at then. And you tweeted about this. You've got a whole theory about backup quarterbacks and just everything about everything that goes into that, and you got into it a little bit on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, and Titans fans might not want to listen to this because they have had one of the better backup quarterback outcomes in recent memory with Ryan Tannehill. But even then, the Ryan Tannehill investment was a late round draft pick and, not a ton of money relative to, what you could pay somebody like a Marcus Mariota who ended up going to Las Vegas and playing for the Raiders. But like ultimately, you look at like the history of the league, and there are a lot of quarterbacks who were backups. I remember the old Oilers franchise. It was Cody Carlson was the backup for years, right? And then you had McNair sitting for 2 years behind Chris Chandler, and and there were roster spots designated to that position, right? Like you used to be able to dress a guy only if he was a quarterback, and he could be the third quarterback. And in the 2011 CBA, they eliminated that position altogether, and a lot of teams, instead of having a third quarterback on the 53, would just dress like a gunner on punt team and stuff like that. And what you've seen is that you just don't have as many developmental guys, right? Like a decade ago, you saw Jake Delhomme make a Super Bowl. You saw Rich Gannon make a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Kurt Warner won a Super Bowl and made another, is in the Hall of Fame. Every one of Brett Favre's backups, Ty Detmer, Matt Hasselbeck, Mark Brunell, like you had all the Aaron Brooks, JT O'Sullivan, you had all these guys who were, had a roster spot and were camping out there and spent years on the same team learning how to play the game of football. And nowadays you have these third quarterbacks that are more transient because the league doesn't incentivize teams, sort of going that way. And then the last part of it, which is interesting, is that drafting a quarterback early is it doesn't cost what it costs the Titans to draft Vince Young at 3 in 2006. Like, it's really inexpensive to draft a quarterback high. It's also really inexpensive, relatively speaking, to trade a ton of picks like San Francisco did. And so, like, teams are not even, like, sort of hedging their bets with, like, a guy like a Brad Johnson, who's a 9th-round pick, sat in the bench for 4 years before he even got in the field. Because if you fail at the quarterback position, the most efficient way to revive that is to tank and then draft a guy at 2nd overall and pay him like $8 million a year, because that's such an edge over paying even a guy like Tannehill what he's making.
Man, just breaking it all down. That being said, how do you see the Titans quarterback backup situation behind Tannehill? And since Barkley is here now, there's a little bit of a sample size with him. Do you like rolling with Logan Woodside, who they like his knowledge of the system? Do you like what you know about Matt Barkley, because we all kind of know who he is? Or do you think they should wait till cuts happen on the 53 day and just comb for the best guy they can find at that point?
Well, and this is exactly what we're talking about, right? Like Logan Woodside, I talk about Philip Walker too. Like, we're really lucky over the last 2 springs, not including this one, that we got the AAF and the XFL, right? Because we got to see some guys play at the professional level and see how good they were. We got that with Logan Woodside in the AAF. But yeah, I mean, the thing, and Barkley's exactly what you're saying. Like, he spent a couple years at Buffalo, but really hasn't been able to, stick anywhere long term and learn an offense for an extended period of time. So, I mean, look, if the Titans lose Tannehill to injury, there's no one in the league right now that could help the Titans win. Let's say they've lost him, 4 straight games. Like, there's really not anybody that's going to help them go 2-2 unless 2 of those games are against Houston, right? So, like, they're probably, I think they should just roll with Logan Woodside, try to develop him, see if he can become like the next Matt Moore, the next Chad Henne. And if he doesn't, obviously move on. But I don't mind what I've seen out of Woodside. I think he's been fine, and I think the only way to really develop that backup over time is to give him repetitions and to show some faith in him, having proper expectations, knowing that he's not going to win you a ton of games if Tannehill gets hurt, but maybe he can keep you afloat for a game or two if it ends up coming down to that.
Eric Eager keeping us afloat in this segment on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Eric, it's going to be a broad question. You can kind of go with it wherever way you want to go with. But I'm going to talk about the D-line and the O-line for the Titans. Kind of take us through what you saw from the D-line. Seems like they were legit in coming after the quarterback. O-line, not so much, but still probably had a lot of guys with passing grades. Not sure who was below the number of passing grades and who was above on both sides of the ball, and what your impressions are of both of those groups.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Wyatt Ray, Rashad Weaver. They combined, each guy had 2 sacks in our system. They combined for 11 pressures. That's a very good outcome. Both guys pass rush grades in PFF system above 80, so you really like seeing that. You got, 2 pressures from a nose tackle and Anthony Rush. Guys that are sort of a little bit down the totem pole a little bit really did a good job against Atlanta. And, Atlanta, when you look at the Falcons and sort of like what they're trying to do on offense, like it wasn't as though, I'm trying to look here and make sure. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as though they were starting players who have not played in the league before. I mean, Willie Beavers was a draft pick. Jalen Mayfield's also a draft pick. Like they weren't playing scrubs. They weren't necessarily playing their starters, but they weren't playing scrubs. So the fact that the Titans were able to get a push on them is very good. And on offense, Christian DeLauro, I mean, he had basically a clean sheet other than a penalty. Otherwise you sort of had like kind of average grades. Dylan Redun's a 72 grade, which is pretty good in 50 snaps. So yeah, I thought the line play graded out pretty well for Tennessee on Friday.
As well as the D-line. And Weaver was all over the place. I mean, man, what was his grade? I mean, it has to be in the 80s at least, right? Or no?
Who's that?
Rashard Weaver, defensive end.
Yes, that's absolutely. Let me go back and then look here. Yeah, I mean, he had an 83.1. I mean, five total pressures, 2 sacks, 3 hurries. He had what we call 3 stops on defense, which is basically a tackle on a run play that prevents a solid game. So yeah, absolutely. That and he played 39 snaps. He got quite a bit of run against the run and the pass. So you always love seeing that.
No question about it. Went with Eric Eager with PFF, and I want to ask you what your overall view of, and it's kind of encapsulated, a lot of players, and we're talking about all the, first round quarterbacks and Wilson, Lance, Fields, Trevor Lawrence. What did you see? What stood out? Looked like they were holding on to the ball. Some looked like they were getting the ball out. It's going to be competitive. Like they're going to be probably pushing the start. What is your overall view on those guys?
Well, there was no quarterback this week where I watched them play and I was like, "Oh my, this guy sucks." The first time I saw Blake Bortles try to throw an NFL pass, I was kind of like, "Oh," it just like hurt. It hurt just to watch it come out of his arm, and you're like, "Ugh." And Lance, Lance had a big play against the Chiefs. The Chiefs also have a good defense. Like I don't think people realize this, but the Chiefs have a good depth. And so it was a good test for him. He was not great. He threw 3 turnover-worthy plays. He fumbled in the pocket once. He had a bunch of balls dropped. I would say he was like the least impressive of them. But even then, when you watch him, you're like, oh my goodness, that's an arm. And he didn't look rattled or anything. He just didn't have great outcomes. I think Fields was great. Obviously, not quite as good against the early defense of the Dolphins. A lot better against the second and third string guys, as you'd expect. Zach Wilson and Mac Jones were both good, and they didn't light the world on fire, but like they also weren't exposed for being like unable to make certain throws and things like that. So that was cool. And then Lawrence was kind of ho hum. I think the best thing that the Jaguars are doing is like we're all talking about Tim Tebow and how like he's an atrocity out there, and none of us are putting the magnifying glass on Trevor Lawrence. And that, I think, is the smartest thing that Urban Meyer has done this entire offseason is that, like, we've somehow reduced the number 1 overall pick to a guy who, like, we always talk about the other guys. And that, I think, is great for as far as, like, a pressure on him standpoint. And Jordan Love was good. Other than getting hurt, I thought Jordan Love's outing the other night for Green Bay was also good. So if you are a fan of offensive football and you watch the young quarterbacks in the league this weekend, you came out, I think, pretty impressed.
Just real quick, though, comb through your notes. What was Tim Tebow's grade for kicks? We need to know.
Oh, man.
I mean, he might have had a good grade. He just had a one bad
42
block.
grade.
42?
42 grade.
Uh-oh. That's it.
So, like, if you go to PFF.com and look at premium stats, Tim Tebow's grades, so I was talking about Wyatt Ray, Rashad Reaver, they're blues and greens. That's good. You want to be blues and greens. Tebow was a yellow and like a bright red. You don't want to be bright red, but Tim Tebow somehow managed to do so. At a position where it's really hard, as somebody who played that position, the H and tight end in college, it's really hard to screw those blocks up. But he somehow figured out how to.
Oh, man. Well, tell everybody where to go to sign up to subscribe.
Yeah, so PFF.com, we're currently we have an Elite and Edge subscription. Edge is for like fantasy and a few gambling tools, and then Elite is for all the premium stats, including preseason stats, as well as some of those other leagues. So if you want to look at Logan Woodside's AAF grades, they're up there as well. So yeah, and all of that is available at PFF.com.
Oh,
Eric, thank you, man. Always great to catch up with you at PFF_Eric. People can find you there on Twitter. We'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it, Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Take care, guys.
Yes, Bye. Sir. Eric Eager, Pro Football Focus. When we come back, I'm going to ask Blaine about a guy who, a guy that we all want to see and we never seem to quite see enough of. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
3, the Pro Way, taking you inside the transition from retired athlete to business. Every Monday morning at 8 with Tennessee football legends Joey Kent and Kevin Dyson. 3, the Pro Way. Download now at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
plans. If you need great health care coverage at an affordable price, let Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it. They got you covered. Coach Mack, thanks for stopping by.
Well, no, I mean, I was down in Columbia recording with Doug Matthews and Larry Stone, some of our statewide coach-to-coach. And then Rhett called me and said we had to do a Titans preview too. And so I said, well, I'll stop by there, and then I'll stop by and see Blaine and Mickey because the team plane is leaving tomorrow at around noon or a little bit after. So I'm going to be in the air. It's hard to do it from the air.
No doubt. All right, I got one question.
With the technology, we can't do it from air.
We got to get to that point.
We make it a little loud.
We could get NORAD to hook us up.
They're tracking Santa right now. All right, I teased this question I was going to ask Blaine. I'll ask both of you. Darrington Evans is a guy who we all feel like could contribute great to this team if he's 100% healthy. I'm a Sunbelt guy. I saw him play a lot of football in college. Got hurt again the other night in the game. I hated seeing that just because it would sure be great to just watch this guy run and be healthy for a while.
Can't do anything about it. I mean, that was a non-contact injury.
Yep.
You know, so you can't do anything about it. I mean, that's just bad luck. And so if he's not healthy, then he won't get a chance to be in there because, look, this is the National Football League. I mean, everybody knows this. That guy sitting across from me right now knows this. This is adult football. And, you know, you've got to be available to be able to play. And as I said, that was very unfortunate because he was looking nice in the game. He's looked nice at practice the whole time. It was a non-contact injury. I have no idea what it is, but you got to be healthy to be out there. That's all I can say.
Yeah, meanwhile, Mekhi Sargent was just next guy up. He had a nice game, had a special teams tackle too, which you and I talked about this a minute at practice yesterday. That's what he would do if he made the team.
Well,
and
that's
he did
how
that
he's going to have to make the team, Mickey. I don't mean to talk over you, but you and I talked yesterday. You know, when you're going to be if you're going to be running back number 3, you're going to have to be a core special teamer. And the fact that he ran down and made a nice tackle on the kickoff, that was a plus in his part.
No doubt, Coach Mack, the Mack attack right here, surprise version with Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Coach, it's just, what was your overall view of just the game? And I'm not even just talking about the players, also the refereeing, some of the calls, it seemed like they were spotting the ball a lot faster. A lot of team strategy to kick field goals more often than go forward. Just kind of go through the coaching mindset of what you actually saw, not just the actual players in the game, just the overall view.
Okay, first of all, structurally, this team wanted to kick field goals because we've got 2 guys that needed to kick field goals, and they both got to kick it. They both got to kick both from medium and from long distance, and they made every one of them. So they wanted to set up those scenarios for them, Blaine, and you're 100% right there. I thought Cleet Blakeman and his crew did a nice job. They did a nice job because the game started off segmented early with all the offensive penalties from Atlanta, you know, but there's nothing that they can do about that. You know, and I thought he did a good job with review. I was on to him a little bit about Breon Borders' interception, but when you really looked at it, the nose of that ball did touch the ground. I said, you know, Cleet, give us that call because we fed you all week here at Titans practice, you know. But anyway, I thought they did a good job with that. But in the preseason, you want to set up scenarios where you want to look at certain things. So sometimes you are going to go for it on 4th down when you normally wouldn't, you know, because you just want your offense to at least keep the ball. So we saw that from both teams in that game. For the Titans looked at it, what I liked is that the defense particularly played a very physical brand of football. And that's what Mike Vrabel, that's what John Robinson preached. Mickey and I have stood together in a lot of these practices up there and watched. That's how they've been practicing, Blaine. You know, I've said every time I've come on the air here that this defense is practicing fast. And that group played fast out there. And they played physical. And that's one thing that stood out. They were on the other line of scrimmage, Tart and the whole crew up there front, man. Yeah,
wow.
They played knockback. Knockback, and then they played roll call to the ball. I mean, they were going at it. I like to see that. That to me, the tone and the timbre that they set, I really like to see. And I was impressed with both quarterbacks. You know, I thought they handled it. They handled the offense very, very well. I thought that ball that Woodside threw to Cam Batson, that back shoulder, that's an NFL play. Yeah, and that's what I said on the broadcast. I told Mike Keith, I said, that's an NFL throw and catch right there. So there were some good things.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about all the blitzing? Even, even from the Titans side, I was really surprised. I mean, at the same time, that kind of sets the mindset of a defensive player to be attacking. But, in the first preseason game, I was a little surprised on both sides of the ball.
The Titans didn't blitz as much as Dean Pease did.
Oh, yeah, Dean Pease was coming.
And I'm going to tell you why Dean Pease was coming, because he knew his guys weren't good. Okay, and seriously, you know, the first series he tried to play a 7-man box. Well, they were gashing him. They were gashing him. He knew, okay, these guys can't do this, and so I'm not going to sit here and just get gashed, the whole game, because it was clear that the Tennessee Titans were dominating that game on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And so Dean, he's a veteran coach. I mean, he said, I'm not going to. I mean, they got beat. I mean, quote, beat, but they were getting dominated in the game. And so he knew his guys weren't good enough to sit there and play base defense. Now Shane Bowen played a lot of base defense. Just let his 4 guys go, or let, the 5 guys go. But I know what Dean's mindset was. I'm not going to sit here and get gashed all night. So that's why he started bringing heat.
Got you.
We keep talking about Des Fitzpatrick. He had some nice days in the spring. It's been a little bit more of a grind for him now that camp has started. Didn't see much from the passing game at all. As you said, they wanted to run the ball, kick field goals. So you could tell they had a specific thing in mind with play calls. But he's had a rough go of it. He had a rough go of it in practice yesterday, especially early on. He's getting beat out by a bunch of journeymen right now. What, as a coach, is his position coach more the guy who pulls him aside? Is it somebody else? I mean, how do you get a guy out of a funk mentally like that?
This is adult football, Mickey.
Yeah.
This is grown man football, Mickey. I mean, you heard what the head coach said.
Yep.
He got to get better. And they said, what? He got to get better.
Yep.
So it's up to him now. He's here. Now, whether you're a draft pick or not, I don't care. When you show up, I mean, Mike Ditka told me when I first showed up as a really young coach, with 8 people on the staff, look, I hired you, but let me tell you this. Every day's an interview. And it's the same way with players. And so it's up to him. It's completely up to him. I mean, there's nobody, Rob Moore is probably one of the best receiver coaches going, and he knows what players go through. But sooner or later, you can put your arm around a person, as much as you want, but they got to do it. And they got to do it on a daily basis. It's not be good one day, not good the next. Be good one day, not good the next. Adult football.
Yep. No longer in college. That's
No
it.
way. Well, and on the flip side of that, a guy like Mason Kinsey goes out, gets 2 third-down catches, had 2 more catches in the game besides that. That's a guy who said, I'm going to try to make somebody's team. I'm making somebody's team in this camp, either this one or I'm going to put enough on film to make another team.
Yeah, and good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I said that on the broadcast. Good for him. Good for him. He showed up. He took advantage of his chances. He had about 1,200 people there in the stadium. I mean, because he's from down there.
Right.
I mean, good for him. So, I mean, I root for all of our players. I cheer for all of our players, and knowing what they're going through, and he got a chance, and he made the most of it.
Yep. On with the Mac attack. Coach Mac. All right, well, we're up against the top of the hour here. It was a quick bonus version of Coach Mac this week. We'll have to ask you like twice as many questions next week to make up for this. It's going to be a fun trip down to Tampa. Well, for everybody who doesn't have to play against the world champs. I know Taylor Lewan called it a bloodbath.
That should be the fun of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you should look forward to. You need to go down there as players and challenge yourself in practice. I mean, that's what you look. 8, 9 times when I've coaching, I've taken teams with other teams, and this will be 2 good days of work. And 2 good days of work, and with three preseason games, this will be veterans work. This is veterans time down there now, and the young guys. I mean, they need to buckle up too, because this is going to be very, very important. So this is going to be a very, very productive week. As I said, it's a bonus for me when I get to talk to you guys. Let's get that straight.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that, Coach Mac.
Bonus Mac
Bonus
attack.
Mac attack, right?
From Coach Mac. We'll be back. We got Ding Dong of the Week coming up in the next segment. Who's your Ding Dong of the Week? It's never Coach Mac. We'll get into it. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
The Titans play 4 preseason quarters against Tom Brady's Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And your flagship for Titans radio has the game. Comeback foiled. Saturday night at 6:30 on your home for Titans football. 104.5 The Zone.
See, after you've watched a game a second time, because I was asking you, what are you looking at more the second time? You said, then I'm looking more at individuals, not so much the team, but I'm watching one guy here, one guy there. So I always like to get your impressions, but I'll say this, just from I've seen most of the game twice now, and I liked it even better the second time when I went back and watched the Titans defense just manhandle them. They just manhandle. There were so many plays where when the quarterback caught the snap, there was a dude in his face, or he was already running.
Or their running back was getting,
blown up.
I felt bad for that Duke Huntley, that kid from Ball State. He looks like he's got a good shot of making the roster, but man, I would not have wanted to be running behind that offensive line going against that line. Just think, I think only Tart was supposedly a starter. The other guy, Simmons and Autry weren't out there, as well as Landry and Bud Dupree. I really was thoroughly impressed with just the physicality of the defensive line, just playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage throughout. It didn't matter who was in there, not only for the Titans, it didn't matter who was in there for the Falcons. So all you can do is go against the guy that's across from you, and that was consistent throughout. I thought offensively it was up and down. So, but they still did fairly well. You wanted to see them do a little bit better. Because the Falcons at times show flashes, but it'll always be like one guy getting into the backfield on a solo play.
Right.
Wasn't everybody in the backfield. I'm disappointed Evans got hurt there, Darrington Evans. So with, non-contact as Coach Mack, that was disappointing. They went 3 and out on defense of the first drive, so that was yay. Chester Rodgers, your man Kinsley, they kind of stood out with the punt return and Batson. So they're fighting the back end, and then you don't seem to see the fight from Fitzpatrick. Like I would have been perturbed. I would have been all in Matt Barkley's ear, like, hey man, throw me the rock, bro. I got to do something. This is my time. Yeah, you got to give me the rock. So. Tucker McCann getting injured. Oh, man, the long interception was really athletic. Great zone turn, anticipating the throw and then understanding the route recognition. That was really good. I liked him. I liked him last year. I thought he should have been the first linebacker off the bench when there was some injuries. So I was a little disappointed. I don't know what they saw, but this guy can run around and play. And then they always kept saying, oh, yeah, he comes up on play action pass, but he still can move quickly and recover. He has that kind of ability. So every time they would say that, I would go, well, no, he just didn't cover well there.
Right.
You can take a false step and still recover if you understand where you need to be. So third year, he's coming to his own. He looked really, really, really good. I'm hoping Tucker McCann, the kicker, is healthy. It looks like he got rolled up. I'm sure that ankle's swollen up right now. So we may not get to see him. He seemed like he was in a groove too. It looked like it was easy. Yeah. Like he's been a veteran. Like it looked like he's the guy. But we shall see what happens with the injury and then how he comes back from it. Is he got his rhythm back? Just think if you miss one time, you'll be like, oh, my ankle's not healed. And it starts getting in your head. You're already starting to play this out. So he should be already playing it throughout his head before it even gets to that. That's how you stay ahead of it mentally as an athlete. And Woodside, I'm starting to feel a little more I know it's preseason that he's going to be the guy. Only way you're going to get a guy to come in here to beat him is they got to have a big arm, and they also can pick up the system fast. That's only because Kaiser had a big arm, but for whatever reason, he was inaccurate. I don't know what happened. Maybe that's his whole stick. But, man, are you not working with a quarterback's coach to work on your actually at least have a job in the NFL as a backup? You talking about the best job in America?
Yeah.
Backup quarterback. All you got to do is play now in a preseason game for like a quarter and a half through 3 games. Man, and you can make millions. Yeah, so, man, he needs to, ask A.J. McCarron. He didn't look that great. He was out there with a horrible offensive line. He still, at times, didn't look great at all, even on some of the throws. So, yeah, I think he can make a lot of dough. So we shall see where we go with the backup quarterback. But right now, nobody can beat out my man Woodside. Yeah, gotta like it.
I think he's a little more mobile. We hadn't seen him in over a year.
Oh yeah, he was mobile. He's pretty much.
He moves around.
Why do people keep saying he's not mobile?
I don't know because he moves
I
around
don't know
pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know where that came about. I've never said that. I've heard people say that he's not that mobile. No, a guy of his size, he better be mobile.
Oh yeah,
is what I would say.
6'2" You got to be able to run.
Yeah, so yeah, he's got enough scramble ability to get outside the pocket and make some throws. Is he Tannehill? No, but that's why he's the backup.
2 sacks he took. First 2 drives he got sacked on third down on both of those drives that ended the drive.
What was the blitz? The blitz up the middle?
Yeah.
Oh my, that was you felt like Dean Pease knew the protection schemes. Like,
yeah.
Hey, you come laid down in the box on the outside and loop around to the A gap right where the center be, and you're coming smooth sailing. So just think about how you want to hit the quarterback. Make sure you don't get a penalty.
Yeah, they didn't get any penalties, but he got crushed on one of those deals.
That was just, watch out. Man, and you not saying watch it. You saying watch the bleep, bleep, bleep out.
Yeah, he took some big hits. Now, like you said, he may play the rest of the season and not get any more hits after preseason because it's the best job in America, but that rascal took some punishment in the game. Is there more he can do to just get rid of the ball, to call a protection, to help protect himself better? Maybe
all those things. There's nothing, not one thing. I mean, he definitely can go through his progression reads. He held on the ball a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably messed up on some of the blocking schemes. Him working with the center. You should never walk out of a game and feel like you're satisfied. Ever. Listen to this, kids. Ever. You can say, I can deal with that and I can live with that, but you should never be satisfied. If you do, that's the time that you're going to be done. Because it should never happen. Not in an NFL game. And it just, I tried to play a perfect game, and it was never going to happen. I could have one bad play or one play that I thought I could have done better, and it won't happen. You strive for perfection, knowing in reality you'll never be perfect in sports. It's impossible. Unless you're putting on one of those yellow jackets.
Even those, I bet even those guys would say,
absolutely.
"Hey, man, I never played a perfect." Even those guys would tell you they know.
Yeah, they know.
John Michael asked in the chat earlier, "What did you guys think about the play calls by the new OC?"
It was interesting because they kept showing him on the sideline, and he looked like he was real calm. It's really hard to critique preseason game on calls. I thought they were okay, but it's about what you're trying to accomplish as a coach,
right?
And a coaching staff. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish on offense, besides being who they are. Let's show our physicality. Let's show we can run the football. Let's get him outside the pocket. Let's get him comfortable and get him some short throws, and then let him play and see how he handles, the adversity that happens within a play. So it's really hard to critique, the play call. And I mean, does it really matter? You really want to see what players can do. So you want something very simple and let guys just play and play fast and see what you got.
Well, the first field goal that McCann kicked after the Rodgers punt return, they called 3 runs there. Yeah. And the third down play was third and 8.
Intentionally said they were doing it just to get a field goal.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. You could really say, well, the coach said, I want to kick a field goal here.
Right.
I want to test it out. So that's why I said it's hard to judge. It was intentionally done. You could see that was pretty clear.
Yep.
Yeah. So in a real game, they wouldn't have done that.
Oh, no. They would have been chucking that rascal in the end zone. Logan, speaking of into the end zone, the wheel route to Miller Forrestall, the throw by Barkley was a real nice throw. The dang back shoulder throw to Cam Batson by Logan
Coach
Woodside. Coach Mack talked about it. He said that's a NFL throw. That was a dang nice throw there.
Yeah. That's the one that you can't defend.
Yep.
The back shoulder throw, even to a even smaller receiver who went up and got it. So yeah, hats off to the throw, because the catch can't happen without a great throw, because he was covered. You didn't even see him till he jumped up to the ball. I mean,
right.
The DB was like 6'1", and Batson's 5'8",
yeah,
or so.
Or so.
Yeah, maybe not quite that, but he's fast. He was quick, and it was funny because they got to show the isolation of him. They showed him on his release. He did a quick jab, step his hand, whoom, he was gone, and then they was neck and neck. Well, in our world, at DB at corner, you even. Guess what you're doing, Mickey? You're leaving. You should never be even. You should be on that top shoulder as a DB. That way you can have vision to look back for that back shoulder throw, because that's the hardest one, especially in the red zone. Have to be aware. Still hard to stop.
Yeah.
They do the back shoulder throw, it would be sickening to me as a cornerback because it's like, how am I playing this? I would get my hands and always look back. And then what if the guy just keeps going and they don't throw a back shoulder throw? They throw it over the top because they show both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a tough play there. I'd love to ask every DB coach in the NFL how they're teaching their corners to play the back shoulder throw.
Well, I'd like to hear it too, just because it's fascinating.
I wish I knew the answer.
All right, we'll keep this conversation up. We got time in the next segment. We're going to do our Ding Dong of the Week, brought to you by Mark Spain Real Estate. Lonzo has weighed in with his. His Ding Dong and mine are the same. We have the same Ding Dong, so we'll share that. We'll share our.
Is that what she said?
Yeah, that's what I said. We'll share that. Also, if you got a Ding Dong of the Week, you can tweet us at Blaine and Mickey. You can call on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, 615-737-1045. Also, you just want to weigh in on something you saw Friday night, you can do that too, because we're going to be talking Titans all in the next hour. It's Blaine and Mickey on 1045 The Zone.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Coming up tomorrow morning.
Thanks to Coach Mack, Dave McGinnis, and Kayla Anderson for joining Monday's show.
Fam, if you miss any of the show, check out the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcast.
Coming up Tuesday, we're not really sure because Schaefer hadn't booked anyone yet. Good work.
Now, that is a demerit.
One thing I do know about Tuesday, I'm still not going to be able to see very well.
J. Mart and Ramon, tomorrow morning from 6 to 10 a.m. on 1045 The Zone.
I mean, Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult is fine. But, going from an ominous subject such as not fearing death into a Ding Dong of the Week, a lighthearted segment. That's a nice transition there by Lucas Penzica. Mark Spain Real Estate, making it happen. You can go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing. Also, we like to say, don't be a ding dong. Use Mark Spain Real Estate. It just seems to tie it all together.
Well, first, let's start off. The Titans are having a scrimmage today, right?
They are at the stadium.
Yeah, at the stadium.
And they were not going to do
Everybody
any.
should go, right? I mean, it's going to not rain, is it?
Does it matter?
Well, yeah, because I'm going.
Oh, no. But I mean, if you're a fan, you don't care about rain.
Well, I'm a fan. I do care. I don't want to. I
No.
don't. I may melt.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I may melt because I'm out there. I will be giving autographs too, by the way.
Oh, where are you
So
doing that?
everybody-
I'm going to come get one.
I'm gonna be doing it right next to Kevin Byard. No, just kidding. I don't know where they're gonna have us set up at yet. Actually, it won't be too close to the field. Maybe out in the concourse.
Do you know who else is going to be there?
Absolutely. I don't ask questions.
The Hitman. You just say, what time? Bring me a Sharpie.
Yeah. And Josh Corey, man. Make sure. Yep. I'm good. Yeah.
My son has a 23 jersey that we bought him when he was little. And my wife bought it several sizes too big. We came in one day in the living room. He was wearing that thing. It fits now.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
He is rocking 23
That's
for the
cool.
Hitman. He needs to wear his Hitman jersey, get it signed by the Hitman.
That's pretty sweet. But yeah, so everybody going out there can check him out. Scrimmage. It starts at like 4:35ish.
Mm-hmm.
So probably more 5ish, and that way people can get off work and come and check them out. I think that's when warm up starts, so 5ish. So they won't be scrimmaging until 5:30, 6.
And in the COVID times, because
six.
normally everybody gets to go out to St. Thomas Sports Park and watch practice, and you can sit in the bleachers and get your tan out there. But it's all blown up right now. It's going to be amazing when it's all finished, but it's blown up right now. So if you want to see the Titans practice, this is it. This is your
It's
chance.
the only chance because they leave out tomorrow for the scrimmage.
They do.
Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah,
Or
practice.
are they leaving tonight?
Who knows?
Ooh.
Maybe tomorrow. Coach Matt came in earlier and he goes, "Hey, fellas, I'm normally on with you guys tomorrow." We said, "Yeah." He goes, "I won't be here, so let me just sit on down." And he just sat down and did a
Oh,
segment with us.
We did a drive-by segment.
All right, we'll give you our ding dong here in a minute. I'll tell you, Lonzo and I have the same ding dong. We're currently sharing a ding dong, so I'll give you that. This is interesting to me. So Blaine is our director of content online. That's not funny. You are the director of content. That
No,
has to
that-
go
that-
on your title.
That is
Show host,
that
director
is-
of content.
That is funny though. Yeah,
So you're the director of
who
content.
would ever
So
thought that I'd be a director of content?
I did because you got good content.
Yeah.
So the Hitman is our director of content, also our director of defense here. So he has lots of titles and hats that he wears. Autograph signer today. So he's like, "Hey, man, let's find out how much of the game people watch or listen to." So he tweeted out at Blaine and Mickey, by the way. You need to follow us there. If you're not, we don't know what you're doing with your life. And I didn't think about that because I just think, okay, Titans fans are fanatics. They're like me. They watch every last snap of this darn thing. And most of us watch it twice.
Right. Well, first of all, because we love it, but also because
It's our
we have
job.
to.
Yeah. So we watch it twice, but I think most people watch this. This was really surprising to me. And maybe this fits into the Ding Dong of the Week segment. 21.2%. And this is out of
What was the question that was put out there?
how much of the Titans' first preseason game did you watch or listen to? Now, not everybody who would answer this, I guess, would be a Titans fan. So if you're a Steelers fan and you follow Blaine and Mickey, you're like, "I didn't listen to any of that," and you hit none. But I think most people who'd respond to this are probably a Titans fan.
Yes.
Because it's hashtag Titans. 21.2% said none
Didn't watch any of the game.
or listen to any of it. Just out of sheer morbid curiosity, if you're interested in this team, how could you, even if you said the only thing I care about is who's the backup quarterback? Well, they played the whole game. You could have seen a ton of both of them. Or you're like, "I just want to see the draft picks." Well, you could have seen Rashad Weaver show out for a whole game. And all the big dudes, Coley and Tier Tart was up there in people's faces, and you could have seen all that stuff. But you didn't see. 21.2% did not watch any of it. That blew my mind, and it's still blowing my mind. 31.7%, so well over 53% basically, watched half or less. So 31.7 watched less than half. 22.2% watched more than half, and 25% watched the whole game. So basically, almost the same number watched all of it as watched none of it. That blows my mind.
I wonder if it's because of the time in Friday night.
Maybe.
You could be a Titan fan and was like, man, I got stuff going on.
But you could always DVR that rascal. Watch it on Saturday.
Well, come back, yeah. Well, that's true.
But see, like we're parents. Now, you empty nest. You go buck wild crazy on a Friday night.
Well,
I got like a 6-year-old.
I was trying to manage going to a surprise birthday
I know.
party.
You had a fun thing planned on Friday night.
No, I didn't plan it.
Well, I mean, it got planned and you were invited. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Miss Bullock had a surprise birthday party. Mr. Monday Night have a surprise birthday party for his wife. So, yeah, I was trying to make sure I left at halftime. And then that way I could see the second half down here in the studio with yours truly, the Mixter.
That's right. Dr. Smooth, Kevin Dyson. Well, that's surprising to me because fan is short for fanatic. And most of the time you
That's
think,
a little surprising.
I mean, I remember going on a vacation one year and there were 2 or 3 couples there. And a friend of mine, something happened. I don't know. I was tied up and I missed a little bit of the game. And so my wife, I came back and I said, tell me everything. And she inventoried everything that had happened in the game up until that time. And the guy said, how in the world could you be this serious about anything? These are preseason games. And at the time, I think I may have just been part-time on the Zone. I mean, this was years ago. Maybe I didn't even work at the Zone. I said, I don't know, man. I just want to know who's going to make the team. I mean, I'm interested in it. And he's like, and the second thing is, your wife knows more about this than most. I mean, she was like, okay, this guy had 3 carries for 7 yards, but he got trapped in the backfield. He lost 8 yards on one play. I mean, she was laying it out.
Wow.
I mean, she is a big Titans fan, so she was just telling me everything. And the guy's like, I'm just shocked by this for 2 things. Number 1, that you care this much. Number 2, just that she probably knows more about it than anybody else in this house because she just laid it out there.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that sounds like all the women in my family except my wife.
A bunch of them are from Indy, though. You said they've been busting your hump about the Colts for years.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. They definitely are women who know the game for sure. Wife just likes offense and the guys, oh, they threw the number such and such. He scored. Like, okay, but what happened? I don't know. They threw a touchdown to him. I said, thank you for the information. I really, truly got a lot out of that. And so, yeah. So your wife and my wife need to get together so she could kind of educate, because I'm sure they, talk the same language.
Well,
us men talk a certain language and they don't talk the same language as us. You say, yeah, do you want me to do that? And they go, no, which we really mean, we know that means yes. So, about certain things.
People are joining the chat. Nicholas says, I'd love to DVR it, but with social media, you already know the ending by the end of the night, so why would you watch? I still want to know how it happened, though.
Yeah, I do, too. Out of curiosity. But if you're just a casual fan, not a fanatical fan, you just want to know what happened, who did what, and then you kind of keep it moving. That's kind of, this younger generation, everything's moved so fast that they're not really sitting down watching a game for, let's just say, 4 hours. Oh, there's no way that's going to happen. No how, no way. Not with these youngsters. I can get all I need right on my phone. They can even watch the game on their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much are they zoomed in on it and doing something else? Nah.
Well, that's it. This goes back to my other previous life of being an athletic administrator for a college, and we were trying to figure out more and more ways to have phone content for people at the stadium. Like, that was my next whole focus. I wound up moving here and joining you knuckleheads on the radio, but I told the athletic director at the time, who's Terry Mohajir, who's at UCF now, I said, man, I'm going to figure out things we can do to engage people on their phone. Because think about this, at the game, even at the game, bought a ticket, sitting in the stadium at the game, you still have to send stuff to people's phone that's interesting to them. Their phone is so important to them. Yes, it is. You have to zap their phone. I said, Man, I have a whole notebook full of ideas in case I ever get canned here that I can try to get a job again in college athletics.
So you moving to Florida?
No, they don't need me.
Oh, dang, man. I knew you were down there at the
Disney World,
for
yeah.
a reason. Yeah.
I was down there to see Mickey.
Oh, okay.
But I did see some of my buddies down there, just a coincidence. But still, I was trying to think of all these different things in content, not for the people who missed the game, for the people who are at the game, things that you could send to them or activate on their phone.
Sports betting, did you have that on your list?
No, that was a no-no then, but that's
Right,
a yes,
exactly.
yes everywhere now.
You know, I probably just updates on the stats for me, and then I just want to be able to order my food from my seat.
Yeah.
and just to have them bring it to me.
Well,
That's it. Everything else, the lines and what things you can bet on throughout the game. Maybe I'm not a bettor, so I just like to know what's out there.
mhm.
And then stats. That's really it for me. I'm not, that kind of. I want to watch, get into the game. I want to enjoy it, embrace where you're at. I think that's what this phone has done. You're not embracing where you're at the whole time.
No, you're at a concert looking at your phone or trying to tape everything on your phone, and you just need to watch it with your eyeballs and listen to it. And I went to a concert and I taped a little bit of a couple of songs, but I told my daughter, I'm not going to sit here with my phone out all night. I'm just going to watch this thing so I can remember everything about it. But we all want to sit there with our phone and have a grainy.
And we got to record it, man. Come
yeah,
on.
because we're going to go back and listen to that 1,000 times. We're never going to listen to it again.
Yeah, man. Memories, man.
Record it with your mind. All right, we got to record this ding dong of the week with our minds here. Again, go to Mark Spain, markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing. So, Lucas, I don't see him because there's 6 degrees of glass between. There he is. I see a silhouette of Lucas. Let's go with Lucas first.
You ready, Lucas, or
Are
are you not ready?
Is
always
your
ready.
ding dong ready?
Oh, okay.
It's always ready.
You're always ready for the ding dong.
There you go.
I've been on and the whole Aaron Rodgers versus Green Bay Packers thing. I've been on Team Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
But
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is
me
my
too.
ding dong of the week.
What happened? What did he do?
This push to get Clay Matthews signed by the Green Bay Packers, it's all stemmed from social media. But Randall Cobb put on his Instagram story a picture of Clay Matthews saying, "Sup," tagging him, asking "Sup," Clay Matthews, in his Packers gear. Aaron Rodgers added it to his story, said, "Bring him back." And other Packer players have joined in on the fun, like tagging the Packers. "You up, Clay Matthews? Where you at?" And Brian Gutekunst has basically shot it down, saying that that's not a thing right now. There's no motion to sign Clay Matthews. But, I mean, I get what Aaron Rodgers, I get his gripes with the Packers and his grievances. I like that they signed Randall Cobb, give him that sense of comfort, one of his old weapons. But Clay Matthews is 35 years old. He hasn't played in the NFL in 2 years. He did have 8 sacks in his last year with the Rams, but I think he had 3.5 in his last year with the Packers in 2018. I get Aaron Rodgers wanting to have a say in a lot of things when it comes to the Packers and what he's done for that franchise, but 35-year-old Clay Matthews ain't it. Aaron Rodgers is my ding-dong of the week.
Well, I mean, he could be a role player at this point in time, but he's a Packer legend. And only difference is, I'm going to give you an analogy, is that he's been out 2 years.
Yeah.
What's the difference, though? Just focus on this. What's the difference in what Aaron Rodgers did, not as exactly the player, what he did about getting a player to what A.J. Brown did to get Julio Jones? Just imagine that Clay Matthews still can play and hasn't missed 2 years. What is the difference between what they did?
No, absolutely. Totally agree. And Aaron Rodgers should have a say in these things. Like all of his gripes that he had that he unleashed in his press conference when he finally came back to camp. I didn't have many issues with any of those. He's been in that building longer than almost any GM or administrative personnel, coach.
Well, you should have an opinion. That's it.
Absolutely. But
Especially if it
I don't
impacts
know.
him.
I don't know that Clay Matthews can help the Packers win games.
Right.
That's
at this point.
Yeah. So
But maybe he was talking about the way that they went out. He referenced certain guys, and
Yeah.
Matthews was one of them, and that they should have, even if they were going to offer him a minimum salary, they didn't even offer him anything. That's what he was talking about. Because you get to a point where, now you're not going to make the big money, but you're a legend with this organization. Should we bring him out for a nice little sayonara if he's good enough to continue in a role that he's happy with? Now, you're not going to be the starter. You went from making, let's say $15 million to now you're making $1 million, and you're going to be, a role player for us. Are you cool with that? Because you're also one of our leaders, and we like what you do in our locker room, and we love to continue to have you there. And that's kind of interesting because I always felt like at certain times organizations must make this shift, and all GMs run from it. There is no communication at all, and maybe unless you're the quarterback, everybody else is kind of treated the same, which is always kind of interesting to me because you have a great player who's now at the end. I think they deserve to have that option if they want to take it. If they can still play, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. It'd be interesting if they. I don't think they would go
Not
through
saying
with
Clay
it.
Matthews is the guy after missing 2 seasons.
Yeah, hadn't played since 2019, but I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, just don't go too far with the personnel stuff and the decisions and pushing to sign this guy and this guy and this guy.
Especially on social media, maybe behind the scenes. But yeah, I probably, I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy, but I'm kind of with you on this one though. How far does it go? And I don't want. You said you didn't want to have this played out over social media. Well, that's what you just did.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what you just did.
I mean, the Titans have needed a pass rusher more than maybe anybody in this league for the last 2 years. And the
Clay
Titans,
Matthews was flirting with the Titans
Exactly.
on social media last year, like thirsty to get here. And they were like, sorry, man.
and even they said no thanks.
We're going to roll with Derek
You know what they
Roberson.
did? They said, "Oh no, that shows you're desperate. So we can just take our time. And if we need you in desperate times, we will contact you. But other than that, nah."
And I know they got scouts and they got access to film that I don't have, but I was like, hey, man, it can't get any worse.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like, hey, man, that's a
Bring him
body.
in. Right.
He at least
A flyer.
I mean,
like halfway through the season, hey,
fly him in. Let's put him out there.
Let's see if his blonde locks can get the running.
Yes.
I mean, they get the flowing out there.
I mean, maybe he look like Thor and play like Thor for 6 games.
Man, I would have
Give
been
him
all
a
in.
chance.
Yeah, man, he would have got a sack. I would have been jumping up for joy.
Because who was the dude they put in who'd been on the Texans with Vrabel and he didn't play till the end of the year and he had like a sack in the last game. They had a sack in the playoff game. I can't even remember the dude's name.
Was it Brooks Reed?
Brooks Reed.
Well, Brooks Reed's got the locks.
Oh yeah,
he's got the long blonde
He
locks.
was trying to copy Clay Matthews,
but that dude, I mean,
he got in the league.
I mean, he had like 2 sacks in 2 games.
He's into his 30s too. Brooks Reed.
Yeah, but he wasn't Clay Matthews though.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna roll the dice with that cat? I would have been like, Clay, man, let's get you in, get you to the hairdresser, see how the hair looks.
But
roll you out here,
Vrabel coached him though, didn't he?
Brooks Reed, yes,
Yeah,
and it's the
see,
same thing
that's
with
the difference.
Same thing with John Simon.
Yeah.
Vrabel's coached him twice.
Yeah.
You know the system. You know, I mean.
He coached the other 99.
All right, we got to finish up our Ding Dong of the Week segment. We'll do that when we come back. We'll have Blaine's Ding Dong. We'll have my Ding Dong. And we got a couple of Ding Dongs, one in the chat. We got one on Twitter. We'll share all the Ding Dongs next. And you still got time to call Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline if you've got a Ding Dong of the Week, 615-737-1045. It's Blaine and Mickey.
The Titans are in Tampa against the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, it's the preseason, but hey, it's Tom Brady. Mike Keith and Coach Mack have the kickoff Saturday night at 6:30.
Throws a man down and goes out of bounds at the 40.
On your home for Titans football and flagship for Titans radio, 104.5 The Zone.
heard Lucas's. He's handing his out to Aaron Rodgers, who continues to try to make some personnel
that was
decisions.
a good one. That was a good one, man. Yeah, I got a couple ding-dongs.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Fudge says, I want to give my ding-dong of the week to Indianapolis Motor, your hometown Motor Speedway, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, for putting a speed bump in turns 5 and 6 at the road course this past weekend that pretty much ended up being a ramp to launch cars into traffic. Cup cars and Indy cars went airborne. Yeah, that did make that race very interesting, Fudge. Thank you for sharing. Good one.
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
He gave his ding-dong. All right, Lonzo and I have the same one. So that's a 2-for-1 ding-dong.
Oh.
But you're a 1-for-2 ding-dong. You're one guy with 2 ding-dongs. So let's hear what you got.
Well, first let's start with this referee and this taunting call in the Colts game.
Okay, well that
That
might
was
be mine. So go ahead.
Horrible when the running back is running and pulling everybody else. His linemen are pushing him. Then he gets up after he drives them for about 15 yards or whatever, and just kind of flexes. Yeah, baby. Flag. I was watching the game. I'm like, I know they didn't call that on him.
Right. Was there holding behind the play or
Right,
something?
I'm like,
right.
oh, man, somebody hit the pile late or something. No. Taunting. Remember I asked, where is the line? That there is a referee taking it literally too far.
Yep.
Too far. There was nothing about that play that was taunting at all. And I'd love for the description of why he thought that was taunting, because he flexed. Well, I can't wait till somebody gets up and goes first down on somebody. That's way worse than this guy flexing and just standing up and like, yeah, he wasn't in anybody's face or anything. Nobody was around him. Didn't affect anything. So I don't know, as we all know, in the preseasons, they like to overemphasize rule changes and go overboard in those preseason games and settle down once the regular season just to get their point across. But that one there I thought it was egregious, and I think the referee should get fined.
Oh.
Yeah, that's for sure. When they make a ding-dong play call, they should get ding-donged in their pocket.
Ding the pocketbook.
Yeah, ding-dong. All right, and then my second one is it was at the Rams game, and this fight broke out, but this lady threw the drink that really ignited it all. And then she turns her back and walks away or goes away from it and the guy just turns around and just starts swinging because he thought the people who were arguing with him were the people who actually threw the drink. I mean, I don't know how many times we're going to see fans in the stands having haymakers going on, but it looked really, really bad. And this needs to stop. And this is what happens when you have, beverages going on all over the place that are not just social beverages, so alcohol. So that there, man, something's gonna happen really bad, and I just hopefully we can get this contained. There was no police really around. I'm sure it can happen easily at any of these stadiums, but man, come on, people, let's get a grip. Really, really, let's have a fight in the stands.
Yeah, at a ball game.
Yeah. So basically, it was what do they call it? The brawl. At the Palace.
Malice.
Yeah, the Malice at the Palace.
Yes.
And the Pacers, Ron Artest runs up in the stands and fights with the fans.
That's a retroactive ding-dong to him.
So this is fans
Ding-dong
on fan
emeritus.
crime. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, those are my two. You can take them to the bank. Ding dongs.
This was in Los Angeles?
Yes, L.A. Rams.
Did you? I didn't know this until last week. I'm dead serious.
Do not say you didn't know that they played.
No.
Oh.
I knew that.
Oh.
Did you know that it's just a stadium with the top over it? It's not a dome.
Oh, no, I did not.
I was last week years old when I found that
Last
out.
week. You was a week old?
and then I Googled it. I looked at 15 pictures this weekend.
It is not the
a
wind can get in there?
Yes.
Oh, so I didn't know that.
It's a stadium with a tarp built over it, but it's not a tarp. It's like it's a stadium with the top over it. It's not enclosed.
Oh, so you just gave me an idea. The Titans can expand their stadium and just put a tarp over the top.
That's all they did.
They can have a Super Bowl. We got enough hotels.
Yep.
We have indoor things going on. The Garth Brooks wouldn't have been canceled. All
No.
of that. Yeah. I'm tarp. That's easy. I think, we just think of a tarp like you put over your car. I'm sure that's just a huge one over the top of a stadium and just expand it.
We can drive in any direction about 40 minutes into the country. Any farmer could rig. They just tarp it up. No problem.
Oh, I'm all in now. Yeah. Let's get that thing. Tarp it up.
It is hashtag tarp it up. Did you know this, Lucas?
No what?
I know he's in there. Okay, okay. Joe Hunk is like, I'll take the bullet for him. I was talking to him.
Engineer in here.
Okay, Joe Hunk is in here too. Get your butt up to the microphone, Joe Hunk.
Oh, but you can't listen while you do other stuff.
Well, you got two ears, one to listen to Hunk and one with us, but we see how that's going. Okay, both of you answer this question honestly. Did you know that the stadium in Los Angeles is an open-air stadium with just a thing over it? It's not a dome. Did you know that?
Yes, SoFi, yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah.
You heard me say it.
No, I swear to God. Like it's like the openings are like around the top thing, right? Like it's not completely covered. There's like a roof, but there's like windows.
Wind can get through.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you can feel a nice breeze. Like it's like a open air dome hybrid. Kind of.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either till last week. All right, did Hunk know this? Because I've
He's saying no.
Okay. He made a lot of faces and hand signaled me, so I didn't know what any of that meant. Okay. Well, I didn't know if he was telling me to bunt or what, or if somebody had broken wind in there by the look on his face. All right. My ding-dong is the same as yours, and I know we got to get out of here because 3HL's next, and they're at the stadium, right? So if you're going to the Titans game tonight, you can say hey to 3.
So you don't have another one?
No. Mine was the official and the NFL.
Oh, well, I got to add another one.
You got 3 ding-dongs?
See a doctor about that.
Yeah, I know. I do need to see a doctor, but I know Lucas went to Tennessee. I know everybody want to hear all this great, happy, we're doing okay. We're doing great. We're going to win a national championship. What? Get a grip. We should be working towards getting there, but we're not there yet. So to say, we're going to try to get a national championship. First of all, let's talk about this violations first.
This is a drive-by ding-dong.
Yeah.
What happened?
I love the positivity, but look, let's taper that down a little bit and say, hey, first of all, we got to get settled back in here with the new coach, new staff, and then we'll kind of see where we're at after this first year. But guess what? Our goal is always to be a national champion. See how that sounds? Hire me right now as an AD. Thank you.
We're both available.
Mic drop.
We're both available. 3HL's next. Your future ADs right here.
And as always, happy Monday! Peace!
Take every Titans game with you.
Put your seatbelt on and let's do this thing. Let's do this thing is right.
Get every game by downloading the 104.5 The Zone app.